Hi guys, welcome back to another video and another trade breakdown on a trade I took on Friday on selling gold. Now it's a bit more of a different trade I'd normally do. I'm typically going with the trend, and this one was actually really a counter trend. So let's look at the overall trend direction of gold. We can see it's been pretty much on the 4-hour chart in an upward ascendancy. But when we break down to the 1-hour chart, we can see that over the past week it's really been a choppy movement. It's been very much sort of range bound, pretty much between sort of 1810 and going down to lows around about 1790. It's been really choppy between those regions. Now there's also a bit of data coming out this week and weakening in the dollar, and therefore there's a huge rise in gold pretty much through Wednesday and Thursday. So for me, I was really watching gold. Once it broke out through that sort of range, it was really in a position where it could have gone up higher and higher. So I really was waiting to see where it was going to top out. As we can see on this chart, pretty much around about 1832, 1833 was really sort of high of previous times. And if we go out to the 4-hour chart, we can see that's confirmed a bit more. So here we can see a couple of peaks in that sort of 1832, 1834 range. So for me, it was kind of like, if price was to break above that, where would it go? Now for that, we want to look at much higher time frames. Let's go look at the daily chart. And we can see here a break above that, we could potentially see price coming all the way back up to 1890, 1900 again. And there's definitely potential in that, but for me, looking at the more of a short-term one-day trade, there wasn't enough impetus in the actual rally to gain enough momentum to break up through that level. Again, just zooming out slightly on the 4-hour chart, we can see some other key levels, which really gives me a bit more of a signal that price was not going to break out. So we go back into May, we saw that price did really touch on that 1845 line and get rejected. It did break out, it retested it as a level of support, and obviously then after that big rally up into the 1900s, it came, retested that support level and broke down through quite easily to form new lows in that range. So I was fairly confident if price did break up to that previous high of 1834, we could then see potentially it stopping at 1845. The other thing for me is showing a bit of confidence in the fact this could potentially be a reversal. Although I don't really trade off indicators, we can see the momentum on the 4-hour chart on the RSI was above 70. Now, it doesn't often get above 70. It really just touches that 70 line, gets rejected. So we've seen a much more of a buyer impetus and therefore potentially a rejection of that and coming price back down. So I was really watching this predominantly on the 1-hour chart, and we can see obviously this massive push from when the news announcement came out and price dropped all the way down to 1790, price then rallied very, very quickly and soon surged up to this 1830 level. Now, when looking at these bars, there's not really much impetus or potential for that to break up. They're showing a bit of indecision at the top. And we can see from when we had that first high, the next high on these 1-hour charts did not break up through. And obviously came down to start really breaking down that previous low. And at that point, we started getting excited. Okay, fine, we've got a confirmation that price is rejecting at the higher levels. We can now start getting to a short. Now, I shorted this at 1831. Now, I shorted this at 1831 pretty much as price was rising up and coming on back into the zone of rejection. And I pretty much did catch the top on this one. And soon after that, price really did start to come down and just keep falling and falling throughout the entire day. Now, because this was a reversal for me, I was going to go in for a much lower stake than I would normally do in a continuation pattern, predominantly because if we're going to get a reversal, it can crash a lot faster and a lot harder than if we got a continuation. So I traded this at one lot, risking 4 points. Now this for me was only risking literally about 0.25% of my capital, so therefore not a huge amount of risk for the potential reward. Now I was hoping that my target was going to be down around the 1800s and was going to get a huge crash in the day. Reality was that although price did come down and came down quite quickly throughout the session on Friday, it got stuck at the 1810 level. Now again, we can probably see why it's getting stuck at 1810. If we look back at previous highs, it literally was bouncing off these previous highs, which was giving a level of support. And as we got to the end of Friday's session, I closed this trade out at 1813 for a profit of just over £1,200. So in terms of reward to risk, that was 18 points of profit, 4 points of risk. So therefore it's almost a 5-to-1. So I was pretty impressed with that trade. And yeah, it was just nice to get into on the Friday just to finish the week on a high. So yeah, I hope you enjoyed my quick trade breakdown of the final trade of the week. Pretty good in the end, and yeah, really looking forward to next week and hopefully going to get a continuation of this one or see what happens with the prices. Got to wait for another confirmation of a signal and get into the great trades. See you again soon. Cheers.